In this video we're going to take a look at how we can use J2Data and the full database software within J2Data to facilitate data handling tasks with your pupils. So I'm logged into Hub, I've clicked on the J2E icon and I'm on the J2 launch page now, and you can see the J2Data tile here. So all you need to do is click on that. Once that loads up, you've got four options: pictogram, chart, branch and database. I'm going to concentrate today on this fourth one, which is the full database. So I would say that this is suitable for pupils from the bottom of Key Stage 2 onwards. But before we start actually going into the database, I'll just click to open the software. Before we start to look at the software itself, it's important to have a discussion with your pupils in terms of what is a database. Why are we actually creating a database in the lessons today? It's important that they understand what a database is, and if they've ever used one in the past, or when do they actually use a database. And the best option to share with them, the best example to share with them, is Google. So we search something in Google. What you're essentially doing is searching the biggest database in the world, which is the internet. So you're searching for information and for resources on the internet. Another example we can share is online shopping. So if you go on to websites such as Amazon, for example, you search for the product that you're looking for. That will then search the database and bring you all sorts of results based on the word that you've used to search. A good example or a good task that you can do here is to look at something like an Argos catalogue, for example, compared to the Argos website. So if you look for a product on the Argos website, you type the word in, that will find you all your options within a split second. The manual way, the more traditional, old-fashioned way of doing it, was getting your Argos catalogue out of the cupboard, looking through the index or the content at the back, finding the word, finding the page reference, finding that page number, going onto that page, looking through the page before finding out, okay, I'm on the wrong page, and then having to re-find the correct page and so on. So just so that that type of activity would let the pupils sort of discover the benefits of creating a database and using a database online, as opposed to the manual, traditional way of doing stuff. So after you've had that discussion, you open J2 Database and you land on this page. So we call this tab the Define tab, and what we're going to do on this tab here is identify all the data fields that we're going to collect. So the example I'm going to use in this video is I'm going to collect data on the rugby players that play for the Welsh international team. So the first discussion I'd have in my class at this point now is, what data could I find? What can I know? What can I find about? What do we want to know about the players that play for Wales? Most basic one would be the name. So I type name into the field name. And this is one of the most important boxes on this page, is the data type. So if I just expand the menu here, you've got multiple types of data that you can use. And it's important to have the discussion with the pupils in terms of the type of data that you're going to collect. So this one will obviously be text. That means I get to type in the name of the player. So I'll select text for this one. The next option is this unique button. It's just a tick box. What this means now then is whether the data that you've collected is unique or not. If I input data on Lee Halfpenny and I've selected unique, that means I'm not allowed to type Lee Halfpenny in for the second time. So it's just a validation technique, just to make sure that the accuracy of a database is correct, just to stop those sometimes sort of silly mistakes of people inputting the same data in twice. So by selecting unique, that means if Lee Halfpenny is typed in twice, the system will then refuse to accept it. In this instance, the name will be unique. So it's important to have a discussion with the pupils. Default, we're going to leave this blank because I don't want anything to appear as a default in that field. Unit, if we are measuring something, so for example, if we're measuring distance between two countries in kilometres, I would type km in this. For measuring the height of somebody, I'd put cm, and so on. But we're not measuring a name, so I'm going to leave those two boxes blank. So I'm going to go on to the next field, and I'm going to collect data about their age. So how old are the players? Type of data, I'm going to select number. So this means now then, if I try to type the word 20 in, the system will reject it because it's not a number format. Again, there's a bit of validation there for you to make sure that the accuracy of the data that's been inputted is correct. Again, is this unique? A discussion with the pupils here. Could we have two players that are 25 years old playing for Wales? The answer is yes. So that data is not unique. So it's important to have that discussion. Default unit, we're going to leave those blank. So the next one, I'm going to have a look at position. So what position does a player play in? There's a problem here. So if I leave this as text, the problem that we could face is the first centre is typed in like this. The second centre is typed in like this, without that capital letter. So if we do a search to see how many centres we've got playing for Wales, it won't find the true data for us because we've spelt it differently every time. To overcome this problem, rather than selecting text, we're going to select list. And as you can see now, instantly it expands this default box. And then in the list, what we're going to do is list all the positions that are available in the team. So we've got prop, hooker, second row, number 8, scrum half, centre, wing, full back. For example, we can go through all the positions. I'm not going to go through any more. What this means now then is whenever you're inputting data, you'll have a drop-down list with all these options. So if I'm inputting data on 3 centres, for example, I just go to the list and I select the word centre. It gives me a little bit of peace of mind to know that all the centres have been spelt the exact same way. So if I do make a search later on in the database on centres, it will find all the centres that I've inputted. So a bit of accuracy and validation there by using a list. Again, unique, have that discussion. Can we have more than one prop playing for Wales? The answer is yes, so we leave this blank. Are we measuring a position? No, so that's going to leave blank. We're going to leave the units blank as well. Next option, we're going to have a look at something called Boolean. So what a Boolean is something that's got 2 possible answers. For example, yes, no, open, close, true, false, that type of thing. So what you get with a Boolean is you get a tick box, and a tick box is automatically going to be empty, and you're able to tick it if the answer is yes. So for example, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to set a data field more than 50 caps. So if the player has got more than 50 caps, then I tick that box. If they haven't got more than 50 caps, I leave that box empty. Again, unique. It's not applicable for this one. There's no default and there's no units to measure. I want to collect information about their height. So the height of the players is going to be a number. I'm going to measure the height in centimetres. One last thing to finish off with now then, we use text. Multiple line text would be if you wanted to input some longer data in terms of text. So for example, you can input a sentence or a paragraph there. We covered list and Booleans. A currency, if you want to measure somebody's currency or note their currency, again, that's a bit of data validation there. Date, that will ask you for days, day, month, year, if you want to note the date down on your database. Picture, sound and video, we're going to come back to this one. The other 2 is email, so that will automatically detect if you use the @ symbol, so it'll be something at something. And if it hasn't got the @ symbol, the system will tell you that the email, the data you submitted isn't correct. And the last one is phone number. So if you type any letters here, again, the system will reject it. I'm going to go back to the picture, sound and video. So I'm able to include pictures as part of the data that I'm capturing. So for example, if I'm inputting data on Lee Halfpenny, I can also include a picture of Lee Halfpenny. Again, have this discussion, is it unique? So can I input Lee Halfpenny's picture incorrectly when I try to put George North's picture in? Again, I'm going to select unique because that's a good idea. It'll help me to make sure that I haven't used the same picture twice. There's no default and there's no unit to measure here. So I think I'm happy with the data fields that I'm going to collect. So I've got name, age, position, more than 50 caps, height of the player, and a picture of the player. I'm happy with the validation. So I've clarified that I've double checked that I've used the correct data type. I've gone through the validation again with the unique, so whether the data is meant to be inputted more than once or not. Default and unit, that's all clarified. Common mistakes here, common problems that you come across is children are using text all the time as opposed to list, are using text as opposed to Boolean, are using text as opposed to number. Again, it's important to let the pupils make those mistakes. So you can have a discussion in terms of, could you have used a list here instead of text, for example? What benefits would there have been if you would have used a list as opposed to text? So don't feel that you have to sort of make sure that they use the correct data types all the time. It's a long learning process. It's important that they get those chances to make those mistakes. And then you can have those discussions with them later on following the tasks. So last thing I need to do before I start collecting the data is click on this save, the floppy disk icon on the top. It's a bit different to your Google platform or to your Office 365. They automatically save what you do. This is a bit more traditional, so you've got to click on the save button. I'm going to call this Wales Rugby Team. So once you give it a name, you click on the save button, and there you go, you're ready to go. So I'm going to finish this video here. In the next video, we're going to have a look at actually inputting the data and using that data to form some findings.